So YouTube, Pewsily here, bringing you the Dark World deck that I took to regionals on Saturday, so yesterday, topped with it. It was at Worcester, which is actually one of the biggest regionals I've seen in the UK for a while. It's just shy of 100 people, and so there's a top 16 cut and I came 14th. So yeah, just going to run through it for you quickly. So obviously, you've got your 3 Grapher, doesn't need explaining right now, and your 3 Snow, and your 3 Brow. So you've got like the standard 9 that you always see. So Grapher, Snow, Brow. Standard, and you got your 1 beige, which is basically staple nowadays. I teched in 1 silver. If you're going to change anything, it would be silver that I would change. I don't really know if I liked it or not. It was okay, but you know, it was running over like Dolkers and stuff all day under skill drain and stuff. But yeah, he was all right. You know, he wasn't bad. You got your 2 tour guides, so they're always yummy. Just Zen mains for days, basically. So that's the monster lineup is a bit larger than before, because usually with Dark World the problem is monsters, so the silver was like the 1 tech card just to slightly increase the monster count. It worked alright, but if that was the one thing I was going to change, it would have been that. That was the one thing I was sort of debating, whether or not to like main a low Mind Crush or like return from a different dimension just for surprise factor. Spells, got your 3 gates as always. 3 dealings, just because I don't see the point in not running 3. It's so good. It's like Dark World's like almost sort of rogue. You're never really going to run into the mirror, and if you do, you just don't play your dealings. It's that simple. And I'd rather have them for things that aren't the mirror. So your 3 dragged, which is like the best card basically. It's so good. So twice yesterday I played drag down. They'd reveal Heavy Storm, and I'm like, no, I'm not hitting that, because you've obviously got the Starlight Road. So yeah, just leave them with more dead cards. It's excellent card. Obvious card destruction, sack it off the top and all that jazz, win games. Then your 1-ofs, you've got your Foolish Burial, Storm, Reborn and Dark Hole. Don't really need explaining. The Foolish Burial is always nice. So open with that and Tour Guide, you're like, yay, pluses. So there you are. And then the other change was 2 MSTs. So compared to other turbo decks, I dropped the 3 upstarts for 2 MSTs in the silver. And the MST was really nice. It's just, you know, you chain it to Abyss Sphere, is it? So they don't get the like special summon and stuff, and just being able to hit more macro, because Macro Rabbit is the big thing now. That's what I lost to. It was Macro Rabbit, so you need to have this in the main to hit the macros, basically. And then lastly, traps. It is actually really trap heavy. I kept in Reckless Greed because I freaking love this card. It's just awesome. You got to learn how to play it. You just can't fire it off, but yeah, it's an amazing card. There was final round of the day, round 7. I actually opened with all 3, and I think I opened with all 3, Dark Hole and Snow, and I drew Card Destruction, Heavy Storm and Reborn, and like 2 Graphers off of it, and I was like, yeah, I've won this game. So anyway, you got your Recklesses, 2 Torrential, which is, in my opinion, is like the best trap in the game at the moment. It's so good. So yeah, I think it's even better than Solemn. I'm going to throw that out there. I think it's better than Solemn. It's just so good. 2 compulsories, just because there's stuff that you need to hit. The fact that it's chainable has always been really nice, but like I said before, Macro Rabbit's like the really big thing at the moment. I think that's like the best deck right now, just because obviously it wrecks Mermails and it can handle windups, and Agents is actually a bad matchup for it. But yeah, anyway, this is like you can chain it to their Lagia and like, you know, just bounce stuff. Get rid of Zen mains is basically what it does all day long. But yeah. You let your opponent -1 to go into an exceed, and you just bounce it with Compulse. And obviously you can use it to protect your Graphers, to use them again to pop more. That doesn't happen that often, it's mostly to get rid of exceeds, but there you go. You got your 1 Starlight Road. Just having it means that, you know, you've got that like psychological factor. So yeah, like I say, twice, don't hit the Storm with Drag Down, and yeah, you obviously got your Solemn for protection again, because you set a lot of back row, but you can also use it to stop D-Prisons, which it's painful, but you know, it works. So, lastly, you got your 1 tech skill drain and your 1 DDV. I'm kind of considering dropping this to run the 2nd DDV, because it's so good right now. There was a Mermail deck that topped Seattle that ran 22 monsters that had less than 1500 attack. 22! And all of them would get wrecked by DDV. So I made space in the side deck to make sure I had a 2nd one, but skill drain is just so good. It wrecks the Gear matchup, basically, so you've got that. The extra deck, I don't think it's changed, but you got your Leviathan, 2 Zen mains because you can have 2. You've got the luxury of the space. 2 Leviathan because there are times when you can OTK because you've got 2 Leviathan, whereas with one, but it's very, very rare, but you've got the luxury of having the space, so you can run other things if you don't have like 2 Leviathan or something. You want Acid Golem, because sometimes if you don't have gates and 3k is what you need and you've got a tour guide, you know, while wandering around I was seeing people like tour guide into Acid Golem game, just because they had the Acid Golem when nothing else would have done it. Tempo, because it's basically staple nowadays, again, wrecking Zen mains all day long. And you've got Mellow Melody and Mirza Rhythm, because they're fiends, and again, you've got the luxury of the space. You don't have to run them. I very, very rarely go into them, but they're nice to have. And then this for the mirror match, so it's funky. Roach, because agents, it's just, you know, Hyperion and Christia gets rid of them, so he's really nice to have, and like I say, always, he goes to 2/2 under gates. One Utopia, which, if I was going to drop a rank 4, I'd drop him. He's just not really that good, especially with skill drain. And then your Maestroke, who's amazing in Dark World just because his defense goes to 2/6, and it's just busted. Heliopolis is a Dark World staple now, just because where it's light, it can get rid of Shadow Imprisoning Mirror, which I actually didn't see all day. I only went into Heliopolis like once, I think, all day, but yeah, it's just so, so good. And obviously, again, being 3k is busted. And you've got your Stardust for the Starlight Road, and Bluffing Gores all day long. I don't think it worked, but, you know, you got to try. So, side deck, where I'd moved 2 MSTs into the main, I had a bit more flexibility to play around with it, so you got your 1 MST in the side, and double Raikou, which I don't really like, because I don't really want to mill spells, but when you mill a graph, it's just really good. And obviously then the added bonus of making Pulsar and Shining Mist the Timing, as always, is nice. The one Night Beam, I was making the deck the night before, and I had a 14 card side deck, and I didn't know what to throw in. And I was looking for it, and I just didn't really have a lot for Murmels. And I was like, Murmels, what can I side for those? And there's not really a lot, you know. I was really worried about the Murmel matchup, but Night Beam, you can use it obviously during your turn to hit the Abyss Sphere, so they can't chain it. It was a basic sort of thing between this and Mind Crush. This is more proactive, so... But yeah, this is like the one thing I would drop if something else came about. But there's other things like there's that trap Chain Whirlwind that you can also use. That's really good when you get it off. You got your 1 skill drain, just so like basically goes in for like gear and agents and stuff, just because skill drain is so good against them. Epidemic Eradicator Virus puts in so much work. I went up against the Gravekeepers in a hero deck, and you flip that and you win. I got both of them off against the Gravekeepers in game 2, and like he didn't know what it did, and I had to like explain that I see all of his hand and all of his sets and his next 3 draws and destroy all of them. And he was like, "What? It does that? You see all my draws?" Like, yeah. So yeah, I won that game obviously. Just the 1 Tech Gozer match, just on the theory that you're much more likely to draw it than other decks, and it's really, really dead when you draw 2. All the other things when you side, you don't mind seeing 2 of, but this, you really don't want to see 2 of, so it's just the 1, and it's only for wind-ups, basically. I don't think I'd really side it against anything else, so considering that Dark World's probably got one of the best matchups against wind-ups of all the other decks out there, I didn't want to side a huge amount for it, because you've already got Skill Drain and DDV and stuff, so just the 1 there. And as I mentioned before, you've got the other side of DDV, just, it hits so much, and like I said, I needed more from Murmels, so, you know, like Megalo is the really big thing that worries me. I don't care about Mulan Glacier, because, you know, hit my cards and I get the double effects, but it's Megalo that scares me, so being able to strip the cards out of their hands so they can't summon the Megalo is basically the tactic I had there. Imperial Iron Wall, big fan of this card. Trying to convince other people, but now that Macro Rabbit, like I said before, is like my opinion one of the best decks out there, I think it's sort of going to have to become staple, just because, you know, you don't really have enough answers to Macro. You know, you run more outs to Macro than they run Macro, but if you don't draw them, then you lose. So you need to have loads of outs to Macro, and obviously this stops Crow, Deep Prison, Bottomless, etc. as well, so it's just really versatile. If you haven't tried it, I really do recommend it. Sort of the obligatory system down. It's sort of between this and Nobleman, and given that Graphic can pop face downs anyway, I didn't think Nobleman was really all that worth it. So yeah, system down, it was alright. I actually went against a Gear, sided in for game 2 and then sided out for game 3 because he sided in Macro, so didn't really seem worth it. And then lastly, 2 Soul Taker, just because, you know, Chaos Dragons is a thing, sort of. But yeah, for Insectors, you would basically just want to like hope you get a skill drain really quick, but there we are. I went 5-2 with it. I beat Heroes, Gear, Evols, Wind-Ups and Gravekeepers. and lost to 2 rabbit decks. One of them main decked Soul Drain, and that was really weird. But yeah, anyway. Oh yeah, there's a deck. Let me know what you think.